Hey everyone, thanks again for joining me. My name's Alex. This is Make It Good, and I wanted to share some of the movies that I picked up in May because it's June. May is come and gone. I got a reasonable pile this month, so I'm going to go ahead and let's just jump right into it and show you what I got. So at Walmart, I actually only picked up one thing this month, and that was Knock at the Cabin. Hadn't seen it, but this was the first M. Night Shyamalan movie that people had actually been talking about in a positive light. So I thought, hey, let's give it a shot. And overall, I really enjoyed it. Great cast. Standouts, obviously for me anyway, are Rupert Grint and Dave Bautista. But the whole cast was actually really great in this. I especially loved there seemed to be a message or an overarching theme about the idea of kind of the difference of dying for a cause and also being at peace with dying for a reason. Really interesting stuff. I'm not going to get too much in the plot in case you haven't seen it, but yeah, overall, I did think this was a solid movie, and so I'm really glad I picked it up. So the next two films I picked up from Target. They were both on sale, and they both have sequels coming out soon. The first one, which I was really happy to picked up for about $13, and that was Dune on 4K with the slipcover, no less. I think they had just gotten a new batch of movies because this one was hidden way in the back of a bunch of other ones that didn't have slips. So I was real happy to pick it up. They must have just recently lowered the price for them. But yeah, snatched this up right away. And I'm excited because Riff Tracks actually has a an audio file of this movie that they put out. So not only do I love this movie as a sci-fi movie, I also enjoyed the book, but I can't wait to hear some riffs about it. I bet they'll be hilarious. So that was Dune. The next movie I picked up at Target, I actually picked up for about $10. Actually was surprised I didn't have it yet. And that's just kind of the bog standard Blu-ray version of Joker. So the sequel's coming out pretty soon with, Joaquin Phoenix reprising his role and Lady Gaga coming in as Harley Quinn. So wanted to kind of get a quick rewatch of it before that movie came out. So I wanted to pick it up. There we go. Got it. All right, sticking to the superhero theme, if you hadn't seen it, I did a superhero related box set that Tim Talks Talkies had issued a challenge for to create that box set of five movies. This one didn't make it in it, but it was a contender, and that is the movie Birdman, which I picked up at Second and Charles, actually. I'm going to replace the case because there's like a bunch of sticker goo on here. But I had never seen this movie. They had it for about $8 or so, maybe about $10. And I absolutely adored this movie when I saw it. Did not know that the entire movie is a oneer, which involved an awful lot of planning, I'm sure. There's some good special features on here where they do talk about that. Ultimately, I decided this movie this didn't make it into my box set just because ultimately I decided, while it does fall into that superhero range, there wasn't enough superhero parts of it. It was more of a kind of an inner monologue sort of character piece rather than a superhero movie, but still an outstanding movie, and I absolutely can't recommend it enough. All right, so the next two movies, sticking with that superhero theme that I picked up, both of these I picked up from Amazon very recently, just because I hadn't seen them in a long time. Actually, one of them I had not seen at all. One of them I hadn't seen in a while, definitely wanted to see again. The first one of that is Super, with Rainn Wilson, Elliot Page, Liv Tyler, Kevin Bacon's in this. It's got a huge cast, a lot of the James Gunn regulars, but a lot of fun, very offbeat type of superhero movie, but definitely one worth checking out. Speaking of James Gunn, the next movie that I picked up, also from Amazon, was Brightburn. This one, more supervillain themed than superhero, but like a really interesting horror movie. And this one I had not seen and had always wanted to see, so I finally decided to bite the bullet and pick it up. Got it for about, I don't know, $12 or so, maybe even less. But yeah, this was a fantastic horror movie. Fantastic horror movie, terrifying. All right, so earlier this month, I had gotten the mood for some time travel movies, some that I had seen before, and some that I'd never seen before. And one of those movies that I had never seen before that I decided to pick up is an anime, actually, because I'm trying to incorporate a little more anime into my collection, and that is The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. Still haven't had a chance to pick it up, but it was a really interesting idea of this girl who, this young student, she's able to just literally jump through time, I guess. And it's a lot of little changes she's making to like the recent past and things that are happening with friends and kind of the outcomes and problems that come up as a result of that. Really want to check this out. I'm probably going to watch it with Vicky at some point. We're both big anime fans. So yeah, Girl Who Left Through Time. All right, so the next two movies I picked up, I actually picked up in April for the Kino Lorber sale that they did, the spring sale at the end of the month. But they didn't come until like a few weeks into May, or about a week and a half into May, so they didn't make my April haul. The first one of those is the 4K version of Mystery Men. I've talked about this in my box set video. It was all superhero themed. This was one of them. So you can check it out there if you want some more info. But fantastic movie, hilarious. I love it. Great 90s comedy. Mystery Men. All right, the second video that I picked up from Kino Lorber is The Ice Harvest with John Cusack. It's also got Billy Bob Thornton, Randy Quaid, Oliver Platt, and it was directed by Harold Ramis. This is a really kind of a dark comedy crime movie. It's about two guys that decide to rob their mob boss of over $2 million. And then they just have to wait one day before leaving. And it's a lot of, who do you trust? And but then it also kind of goes more, it follows John Cusack a lot more in the movie. And it's about, kind of the issues going on in his life and how unhappy he is and, issues with his family and his friendship with the guy who is now married with his wife and living his family life. I don't hear a lot of people talking about this movie very often, but I think it's an interesting crime movie, and it's also a Christmas movie, sort of, kind of. It takes place at Christmas, so if you want to roll it in there, like Die Hard on Christmas, no reason not to. Check out The Ice Harvest. All right, so the next group of films I bought, I actually got at the beginning of May when Vinegar Syndrome announced their new titles. The first one of those is The Tale of Tsar Sultan. The trailer for this alone absolutely made me want to check this out. It had very much very much of a Powell and Pressburger sort of feel to it, but it also incorporated like some of those fantasy elements that you might see in a Carol Zayman or Harryhausen type of film. So I definitely want to check it out. Find out there's a couple of other movies that the director, Alexander Petrushko, had done. So eventually I'd like to check those out too. Also, the artwork just on the slipcover is absolutely gorgeous. I love looking at it. So that was just a whole other reason to check this out. But yeah, this is another one that Vicky was very interested in checking out. So we are going to watch this together at some point. And maybe I'll talk about it in a future video. All right, so the next film that I picked up from Vinegar Syndrome is the Gaspar Noé film Irreversible. This is the movie that is presented in reverse order, playing around with continuity, very similar to Memento. Stars Monica Bellucci. This is technically a blind buy for me, but it's one that has been suggested to me before. In fact, I have not jumped into the Gaspar Noé waters yet. Many of his films seem to be on that side of run the theme of the extreme cinema side. And, generally I've got to be in the right mood for that. But I decided to start with Irreversible. And this version has a cut that presents things in chronological order as well. So you kind of get two movies for the price of one. You get two different views of the same movie, which I did find really interesting, and that kind of gave me the extra push to check this film out. So I will hopefully check this out very soon. All right, the third video that I picked up from Vinegar Syndrome in the month of May is At the Video Store. This is the documentary kind of chronicling and talking about video store rental houses, their relation to things like Redbox now and streaming, as well as the way folks used to easily, imbibe movies by going into drive-thrus, and how video stores kind of ruin drive-thrus, just like Redbox and streaming ended up ruining video stores. There are a whole bunch of celebrities that show up and people in the film industry, which the director of this even said, I got interviews with these people just so that this movie would sell. But it actually is really interesting. The real reason you want to see this is all the different people who run and operate different video stores, and just sort of how it's impacted their lives, how they've managed to stay afloat as much as they can. I got really, really surprisingly sentimental watching this film. Started really hitting me. I started remembering a lot of the video stores I used to go to as a kid. And so this movie, if you were a rental store kid, this is definitely worth a watch. There's also a lot of music that they wrote for the movie, and they've incorporated in different ways. One of the songs I think is called At the Video Store. I've had stuck in my head off and on for the last couple of weeks since I've watched it. So check this one out. It's a lot of fun if you like a good nostalgia. It would pair really well with that Vinyl Nation movie that they put out. I imagine, I don't have that one, but very similar in theme. ETR Media has been putting out some really interesting documentaries lately. So the fourth film that I picked up from Vinegar Syndrome is Spirits of the Air, Gremlins of the Clouds. This is a post-apocalyptic film by Alex Proyas. Takes place in Australia. It's about a brother and sister who live out in the middle of nowhere. And this lone wanderer, he calls himself Smith, shows up. He's being chased, and he is on the move. And suddenly they get this idea to create some sort of like flying contraption to get him over the mountains, which are impassable. A lot of fun, a lot of really great acting, really striking visually. I love just very simply the way the sky hits the ground, and it's so stark, but somehow beautiful, even though it's desolate. Really, really great visual in this. It reminded me very much, weirdly enough, of Courage the Cowardly Dog. So if you've ever seen that show, you'll know what I'm talking about when you just see this lone cabin in the middle of nowhere in the desert. Very, very reminiscent of this movie. I would not be surprised if that was an inspiration, but I can highly suggest this film, which was directed once again by Alex Proyas, who did The Crow and Dark City. So if you like those movies, definitely check this one out. The last film that I picked up from Vinegar Syndrome is A New Old Play. This is a Chinese film about a man who was a stage performer in a theater troupe. He has died. He's in the underworld. He's in hell, and he's interacting with demons. But he's also reflecting on his life, events that led up to his life, events with his family. It's a 3-hour movie, so it is a very long movie, but it is gorgeous. It is haunting throughout the movie. And one of the things I enjoy is how theatrical it is, which I actually do plan to discuss in a future video, so I'll go more into that then. All right, so also in the month of May, Criterion was running a sale for 30% off. It's not a sale that most people talk about. It's not as big as their flash sales, the two that they run through the year, or the sales that Barnes & Noble run. But I started thinking, you know what? There are a handful of movies that normally are only about $30. So I decided to check some of those films out. And they ended up being about $20, which is comparable to what you would see in the normal 50% off flash sales with the majority of the Criterion movies. So I decided, you know what, $20, that is just fine. Let's go ahead and jump into those. First one I got is The Ballad of Narayama. Beautiful movie, very much about family, and the matriarch of this family is ready to die, and she wants her son to bring her to the top of Narayama, to be left there to pass and meet the god of Narayama. But the son's having a hard time with it. There's also a lot of other family drama that's happening. There's struggles within the village. But all the while, the matriarch, she just cannot. She's very focused on, but this is what I want, this is what I need. And really, it reminded me a lot of the discussion of things like assisted suicide, which was a very hot topic, years ago. Isn't talked about as much now, but definitely the idea of dying with dignity, is touched on in this film. And this was done back in 1958. So definitely worth a watch. Absolutely beautiful too. There's very interesting transitions that they do within this film. So yeah, check it out. So the next four are all movies I have not seen at this point, but I'm very excited to. Continuing with my trying to add more documentaries into my collection. I've got the David Lynch, The Art Life. I do love a lot of the David Lynch films. I have most of the ones that the Criterion Collection have put out, and so this one would be a very nice companion piece to go right next to those. So definitely wanted to check those out. All right, the next film that I picked up from Criterion Collection is Bitter Rice. This seems like sort of a heist movie, but also a farming movie and kind of a small village type of film. Really caught my attention, so wanted to check that out. The next movie that I picked up from Criterion is Identification of a Woman by Michelangelo Antonioni. This film is about, I guess, a director who has two love interests, can't choose between them, needs to find a star for his film. So there's a lot of, it's kind of a love triangle situation going on. I enjoyed Blow Up quite a bit when I picked that up, so I was very excited to check out more of Antonioni's films. So this one was only $30 on their site, $20 with the 30% off sale, so it was a definite buy for me. And lastly, I needed to pick up a film for Halloween this year. A new film. I like to pick up a couple that I've never seen before, and there was one that fit well within that in that 30% off sale, and that was The Uninvited by Lewis Allen. Brother and sister, haunted house, family history in the house. I don't know too much about it. I've heard a lot of mixed things. Some people are really into it. Some people say it's boring and they're not into it. I liked the clip enough that was on the website, so I did not want to pass it up. So picked it up, $20, not a bad buy. All right, so that's everything that I picked up in the month of May. Have you seen any of those movies? Because I would like to talk about any of them, especially the ones I have not seen. I want to hear thoughts on those. But yeah, what did you pick up? Please let me know down in those comments below. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Anyway, as usual, watch good movies, eat good food, take care of yourself and someone else if you can, and make it good. Take care now.